You tried. You really did. But something started to change. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. But you noticed. And this person did too. This person noticed your silence growing. Noticed your gaze becoming more distant. Noticed that your body was still there, but your heart was slowly starting to drift away. This person noticed everything, but did nothing. Saw the signs. Felt your absence approaching, even when you still said it's all good, but didn't reach out, didn't ask, didn't extend a hand. Thought you would keep going. Thought you would try one more time. Thought the love you carried was infinite. But it wasn't. Because at some point even those who love too much get tired. And this person saw you stop trying. Saw when you stopped explaining. Saw when you grew weary of proving that you deserved to stay. This person didn't lose you all at once. Lost you little by little. With each message you didn't send. With each conversation you didn't start. With each desire you silenced. This person didn't react, maybe out of pride, maybe out of fear. Or maybe because they thought you would never really leave. But the universe pulled you apart, revealed everything you tried to hide, even from yourself. And deep down, you realized. You realized you were alone there. You realized that pushing through for two destroys one. This person watched the end arrive, in silence, with eyes wide open, with a still soul. Now maybe this person feels it, but now it's a different story. Have you ever seen everything pull you away from someone, and that person did nothing? You know exactly when it started. It wasn't on a specific day. There wasn't a pivotal scene. It was in the build-up of what went unsaid, in the exhaustion of what was felt alone, and in the discomfort of knowing that the other part was watching, and still chose to do nothing. This person felt it when you started taking longer to respond. You felt when your voice no longer carried the same emotion. You felt when your laughter lost its shine. But you preferred silence. You chose the comfort of pretending that nothing was changing. You didn't want to leave. You didn't want to give up. You weren't looking for an excuse to walk away. You just wanted to be seen. And you weren't. That person saw the universe start to pull you away. They saw everything cool down. And they didn't have the courage to move. Not for a lack of time, not for distraction, but because they thought that you wouldn't have the courage to leave. That person was mistaken. You realized you were fighting alone. You realized that trying too hard for someone becomes an addiction. And when you realize this, then something changes, not because of bitterness, but because of clarity. That person was there, physically present, but emotionally distant. They felt something slipping through their fingers, but didn't want to hold on tighter, maybe out of fear, maybe out of pride, or maybe because they never really believed you would actually leave. But you did. And it wasn't in a fight, it wasn't in a scream, it was in silence, in the silence of someone who is exhausted, in the silence of someone who realized they had been alone for a long time, in the silence of someone who understood that being present without commitment is a disguised absence. That person felt the universe push you away and stayed still. Do you remember when you started to go quiet? When you thought twice before you wrote something? When you felt something but chose not to share? Not because you didn't want to, but because you already knew there wouldn't be a response. You began to hold back what you once shared. You started to laugh less, to respond curtly, to avoid contact. That person noticed, but didn't react. They saw you drift away with tenderness. They saw you go silent with grace. They saw you leaving, carefully. And even then, they chose not to chase after you. Maybe they thought it was just a phase. Maybe they thought you would always come back. But not this time. This time, it was different. This time your exhaustion outweighed your hope. This time your self-love shouted louder than your longing. This person lost you in the details, in the absence of a gesture, in the lack of a phrase, in the repeated choice of doing nothing. And now? Now maybe this person thinks about you, maybe wonders what it would have been like, maybe imagines what they would do differently. But now it doesn't matter anymore, because love that isn't nurtured rots. Connection that isn't fed breaks. And affection that is denied eventually doesn't come back. You gave chances, you waited, you tried, but you can't live on attempts alone. Not when everything around you forces you to realize you're carrying something by yourself. This person felt the universe push you away and chose to believe it was nothing, but it was everything. It was you getting tired. It was you waking up. It was you coming back to yourself, and when a person comes back to themselves, there's no going back. Have you ever experienced something similar? Tell me in the comments. Finish this sentence. Being someone who feels too much, in the silence of someone who feels nothing is, do you still think about this? Do you still carry that wound? Or have you managed to free yourself? Do you remember the promises? The way this person said they wouldn't leave you? The times you tried to resolve everything before going to sleep? Do you remember how light it was in the beginning? And how it all turned into a burden, just yours? This person saw it, saw you change, saw you lose yourself, and didn't try to bring you back. That hurts. Because you didn't want to go. You wanted them to come to you, but they didn't. Sometimes silence speaks. Sometimes absence screams. Sometimes the universe separates. Not to punish, but to show. This person had time, had space, had all the chances, but did not take action. They didn't realize that those who truly love do not wait until the end to act. And you realized this too late, but you realized. Is this story yours, or is it still someone you can't let go of? This person, maybe they will regret it one day. Maybe they will come back. Maybe they will say it was all a misunderstanding, that they were distracted, that you didn't know it was so serious. But you will look into the eyes of that person, and you will realize. You will realize that if it were meant to be, it wouldn't have been so easy for them to let you go. This person will carry on with life as if nothing happened. They will smile in all the right places. They will post new photos. They will comment as if they are at peace. But every time they lie down in the dark, they will remember. They will remember the last time you tried. The last time you sent a message just to ask how their day was. The last time you made some silly but sincere effort to keep the connection alive. And it will weigh on them. It will weigh because you weren't the one who stepped back. It was them who let everything fall apart while watching. This person will pretend they didn't feel a thing. They will say they didn't understand. But deep down they know. They know you were there, fully, whole, available. And still it wasn't enough for them to move. The truth is, you didn't ask for much. You just wanted someone who would also make an effort. That would show with the smallest gestures that they cared. But this person never understood the weight of silence. They never understood that inaction is also a choice. That neglect has a cost. And that absence, when repeated, becomes abandonment. You started to grow quiet. You began to close off. You started to pull away. And this person thought it was charm, that it was pride, that it was just a phase. It wasn't. It was exhaustion. Now they might even think about coming back. They might even rehearse some form of reaching out. But they will realize something they hadn't noticed before. You are no longer there. Your body might still respond. Your voice might sound similar. But your soul no longer gives anything. Because once disappointment sets in, it changes everything. And there's no going back for those who have left inside. This person felt it. They felt the universe pushing you away, but thought it was just a joke, thought it was just another bend in the road, and now, looking back, they find no more path. Do you remember the first time you thought about leaving? Do you remember how much it hurt just to imagine it? The fear of throwing away something too valuable? But the truth is, what is truly valuable doesn't put you in that position. It doesn't leave you with the constant feeling that you're begging for love, that you're pleading for attention. This person didn't lose you in one day. They lost you every day they chose not to care. Now they might even say they miss you. They might even send a random hi. They might even try to revive what they let die. But you know, there's no way to unsee. There's no way to misunderstand. There's no way to unlearn how to perceive. And you perceived. You realized that those who care, act. Those who feel, show it. Those who love, take care. And this person didn't take care. They didn't care when you dropped hints. They didn't care when you remained silent. They didn't care when you stopped insisting. And maybe they're still hoping you'll come back. But you're not coming back anymore. You might remember, but you're not coming back. Because no love survives where only one side breathes. If you've read this far and felt, comment, enough. And if this person reaches out, if they say they finally understand that they miss you, that they thought about you every day, you'll look into their eyes and you'll realize they only miss someone who no longer exists. This person will come back. You know that. It will be on some random day, without warning, for no apparent reason. They'll write as if nothing happened, as if time hasn't been cruel, as if the days that hurt you don't count. Hey, I thought about you today. I dreamt about you. Are you doing okay? And for a second, you'll stop. You'll feel your heart race. You'll remember everything. The smell, the touch, the way this person had of making you laugh when you wanted to cry, but it passes. Because it's no longer the same body, it's no longer the same affection, and most importantly, it's no longer the same truth. You've changed. Because you had to change. Because no one stays the same after being forgotten by someone who promised to stay. No one ever goes back to being the same after realizing that love isn't enough to keep someone close. This person will say beautiful things to you. Maybe they'll claim they understand now. Maybe they'll cry. Maybe they'll say they miss you so fiercely that for a moment you'll believe it. But you don't feel the same. You don't feel anything anymore. Not because you stopped loving, but because you loved so much that you drained yourself. This person will say they've changed. But you can't change someone who never recognized what they caused. You can't change someone who only acts when they realize they've lost. You can't change someone who didn't care when there was still time. You might even have a conversation. You might even respond, but deep down you know nothing this person says will undo what they let happen. Do you know why? Because you waited. You showed patience. You held the story for both of you, and what came back? Contempt, neglect, distance. This person watched everything crumble little by little, and they just sat there. Now that the house is in ruins, they return to pick up what's left, but you aren't debris. This person will want to revive what no longer breathes. They will search for that gaze, that affection, that commitment, but they won't find it. Because you learned to protect yourself. You learned that love isn't about persistence. It's about reciprocity. It's about presence. It's about building something together. And nothing is built with someone who runs from the bricks, do you remember? How exhausting it was to give everything and receive almost nothing. How painful it was to realize there was no reciprocation. Now all of that becomes a shield. You might still listen, but you no longer absorb. You might even feel nostalgic, but you no longer sabotage yourself. You've become someone who knows those who disappear when you need them most don't deserve to be there when everything is going well. And even though it still hurts, you won't go back, because now you see, you realize, and those who realize no longer fool themselves. You have something this person never had: awareness, courage, and real love. This person will continue to cross similar paths, hoping someone will save them from themselves. But you are no longer that person. You have saved yourself from abandonment, from neglect, from waiting. Now it's you for you, and that no one can take away. That person will keep showing up in your thoughts, in the songs that play unexpectedly, in the places you visit. They will keep popping up when you least expect it, but not because they still belong to you. It's just your memory trying to relearn how to live without them. And you're managing. It hurts, but you're managing, because now you understand that those who get hurt are the ones who keep waiting for something from the other that the other doesn't have the courage to give. It breaks those who insist on piecing together a relationship meant to be built by two. That person felt the universe pulling you away and didn't know how to react. They thought you wouldn't have the strength. They thought you wouldn't have the courage. They thought you needed them too much. But what they never understood is that when someone truly loves and then leaves, it's never due to a lack of feeling. It's due to a lack of reciprocity. You left for love. Self-love. And that's the kind of love that doesn't accept emotional scraps. It doesn't feed on crumbs. It doesn't survive on silence. Now that person might miss you. They might imagine you with someone else. They might think about what could have been. But it's already too late. Too late to wake up. Too late to try. Too late to return. Because some people only see the value after losing access. Some people only understand the importance when there's no presence left. So remember this. You didn't leave without warning. You gave signals. You asked. You waited. That person had time, had space, had love, but didn't have the initiative. And now, it's you who chooses. If that person tries to come back, it's not them who decides anymore, it's you. You with your conscience, you with the pain you carried silently, you with the emptiness you faced alone, you with the maturity of someone who survived abandonment disguised as presence. If this resonated with something deep inside you, comment here. Now I choose. I want to read you. I want to know what you've been through. I want you to let out everything you've always kept inside, because here you can. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. There are people going through exactly this right now, and they think they're crazy. They're not. It's perception. Leave a like if this message resonated with you. This helps this video reach more people who need this kind of truth. More people like you. And if this type of content is part of your journey, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. There's so much more to say, and what comes next will become a key within you, because this conversation doesn't end here. This was just the first step.